അഞ്ചാം വർഷത്തിൽ നമ്മൾ വിഭാവനം ചെയ്ത ഒരു നവകേരളത്തിലേക്ക് എത്തിച്ചേരും. അതിൻ്റെ അടിത്തറയായി വർത്തിക്കാൻ കഴിയുന്ന ആശയങ്ങൾക്ക് ഊടും പാവും നെയ്ത ഈ സമ്മേളനത്തിൽ പങ്കെടുത്ത ഓരോരുത്തർക്കും നന്ദി അറിയിക്കട്ടെ. As we come to the close of this international conference, we are conscious that we are concluding more than a 3-day academic and policy engagement. We are bringing to completion a collective exercise in reflection, dialogue, and imagination. This was an exercise that tried to understand Kerala's past, critically assess its present, and constructively think about its future. Over the past few days, this conference has demonstrated something that lies at the heart of Kerala's public life. It is that the formulation of public policy is not a closed exercise conducted by a few, but a participatory process shaped by dialogue between the state and the society. The discussions around Vision 2031 have moved far beyond being a technical document. They have emerged as a shared framework informed by evidence, debate, and democratic consultation for Kerala as it approaches its 75th year as a state. What has been especially valuable is the diversity of voices that have shaped these conversations. There were economists, social scientists, technologists, local government representatives, civil society actors, and citizens in these conferences. This diversity reflects a deeper feature of Kerala's development experience. It is the belief that sustainable progress requires social consensus, institutional participation, and democratic legitimacy. Kerala's development journey has never been a straight line. From land reforms and investments in public education and health to social security and decentralized planning, the so-called Kerala's development experience has been one of continuous renewal. It has rested on the understanding that markets alone cannot deliver social justice, and that public action, democratic institutions, and collective mobilization are essential to human development. In November 2025, Kerala declared itself the first Indian state to have eliminated extreme poverty. This achievement was not the outcome of a single scheme. It was the cumulative result of decades of public investment, welfare institutions, and grassroots participation. It reaffirmed a basic principle that has guided Kerala's approach. Economic growth must be evaluated not only by aggregate numbers, but by its ability to secure dignity and basic security for all. Yet, as many papers and sessions at this conference have shown, Kerala now stands at a new historical moment. The challenge before us is no longer only about expanding access to basic services. It is about transforming a high human development society into a productive, knowledge-driven economy that generates quality employment, fosters innovation, and remains environmentally sustainable. All of this without abandoning its social commitments. One of the most important foundations of this transition is Kerala's long-standing commitment to participatory governance. Decentralization in Kerala has not been treated as an administrative reform alone, but as a democratic project. From the People's Plan campaign of 1996 onwards, local self-government have played a central role in development planning, service delivery, and social inclusion. I take this opportunity to express my gratitude to Sri Manishankar Iyer for his generous remarks on Kerala's achievements in decentralization. His observation that Kerala stands as India's leading example of Panchayati Raj resonates deeply with our own experience. The political roots of decentralization in Kerala can be traced back to the first communist ministry under Sri E.M.S. Namboodiripad, which recognized local democracy as essential to social transformation. Decentralization in Kerala has matured over time. It has enabled communities to identify local needs, manage public resources, and participate directly in governance. This has been particularly important in sectors such as primary health care, school education, poverty alleviation, and disaster response. The experience of recent floods and landslides has once again shown how crucial empowered local governments are in moments of crisis. At the same time, we recognize that decentralization is not a finished project. Governance systems must evolve with the changing social and economic conditions. In this context, the suggestion to undertake comprehensive legislative reforms to the Kerala Municipal and Panchayati Raj Acts is one that we take seriously. Some reforms have already been incorporated over time, but more changes are necessary to strengthen administrative capacity, financial autonomy, and accountability. The urban policy document recently approved by the Cabinet proposes the constitution of a committee to recommend amendments to the Municipal Act. Similarly, the Vision 2031 document prepared by the Local Self-Government Department calls for comprehensive reforms to the Kerala Panchayati Raj Act. These initiatives reflect our commitment to ensure that decentralization remains relevant, effective, and democratic in a rapidly changing economy. Another central theme that has run through this conference is the relationship between democracy, secularism, and development. Kerala's experience reminds us that secularism is not merely a constitutional principle, but a lived social practice. It is visible in our schools, neighborhoods, workplaces, and local institutions. At a time when many societies across the world, including our own country, are witnessing growing polarization, Kerala has largely managed to preserve social harmony. This was the result of conscious political choices, inclusive public institutions, and a culture of mutual respect. As Professor Amartya Sen has reminded us, social cohesion is not a byproduct of development. It is a precondition for it. Trust between communities, confidence in institutions, and the absence of fear are essential for economic activity, innovation, and investment. Kerala's secular ethos has therefore been one of its most valuable economic assets. Protecting this ethos is a responsibility of the state and society. Development that excludes or marginalizes sections of society ultimately undermines itself. Kerala's commitment is to ensure that economic transformation strengthens rather than weakens democratic pluralism and social inclusion. Several discussions at this conference have also drawn attention to the changing nature of fiscal federalism in India. States today play an increasingly important role in delivering public services and driving development. But their fiscal space has become more constrained. Kerala's experience illustrates some of these tensions. This state has consistently mobilized a high proportion of its own revenues and maintained strong public service delivery. At the same time, changes, intergovernmental fiscal arrangements, borrowing limits, and the structure of central transfers have created new challenges. I wish to place this issue before an international audience, not in the language of confrontation, but as a matter of democratic governance. Cooperative federalism requires predictability, fairness, and respect for constitutional roles. States must have the fiscal capacity to fulfill the responsibilities entrusted to them, particularly in areas such as health, education, social protection, and infrastructure. Despite these constraints, Kerala has continued to prioritize welfare, education, and public services. Measures such as supporting students, workers, and vulnerable groups reflect a conscious effort to balance fiscal responsibility with social commitment. This balance is not easy, but it is necessary if democracy is to retain public trust. The discussions around Vision 2031 have shown that Kerala's future strategy rests on three interlinked principles: growth with quality employment, democratic participation, and social justice. The ambition to build a knowledge-based economy through technology, higher education, innovation, and skill development is grounded in Kerala's human development achievements. Equally important is the recognition that technology must serve people, not replace democratic accountability. Conversations on ethical technology, digital governance, and responsible innovation have been among the most forward-looking elements of this conference. They signal Kerala's intent to engage with the future thoughtfully rather than uncritically. The wide consultations conducted across the state reflect a participatory approach to policy formulation. This is consistent with Kerala's democratic tradition, where major policy shifts are shaped through dialogue rather than imposed from above. As we conclude, it is worth reflecting on what Kerala's experience offers to the wider world. It shows that democracy and development are not opposing goals. It demonstrates that decentralization can strengthen rather than fragment the state. And it reminds us that secularism and social harmony are not luxurious but foundations of sustainable progress. Let us leave this conference not merely with documents and reports, but with a shared political resolve, a resolve to deepen democracy, to defend social inclusion, and to pursue development that is human, participatory, and just. The Kerala of 2031 must be prosperous, innovative, and resilient. But above all, it must remain democratic and secular in spirit. I thank each one of you for your contributions, your insights, and your commitment. Your engagements over these 3 days has enriched our understanding and strengthened our collective vision. Thank you.
ബ്രോക്കറിന്റെ മാർജിൻ കൊടുക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി ഫണ്ട് ട്രാൻസ്ഫർ ചെയ്യാണ് ഞാൻ. അയാൾ ഒരു UPI ID അയച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്.
ഇന്റർമീഡിയറി